Olivia doesn't need me anymore, Victoria thought sadly. But what if I still need her? Olivia heard Victoria's worried thoughts and leaned over, embracing her mother in a gentle hug. As Victoria hugged Olivia back, there was a lingering sense of appreciation in her embrace, a silent admission that her daughter was growing up. Olivia hoped that this silent gesture would reassure Victoria, as if to say, "I'll always need you to be my mother, and I'll always love you." After a slightly too long embrace, they parted ways and Olivia cleared her throat. "So I need you to tell Dad about the plan to see Grandpa Andrew for his birthday in April." Victoria hesitated, a frown creasing her forehead. "I'm not sure about that, Liv." Confused, Olivia asked, "Why not?" "Well, I think you should be the one to tell him. It is your grand plan, after all." "But it should come from you, Mom. It needs to seem like your idea. He'll for sure avoid it if I bring it up, but if you tell him, he'll be at the airport before the pilot." Victoria shook her head, her voice laced with a hint of childish defiance. "Michael barely talks to me these days, too busy with his games. I'm not going to be the one to break the ice." Olivia rolled her eyes, a smirk playing on her lips. "Really, Mom? That's a bit childish, don't you think?" Victoria pouted slightly. "I am not being childish." "Yes, you are," Olivia shot back, a grin spreading across her face. "No, I'm not," Victoria insisted, the corners of her mouth twitching upwards. "Yes, you are," Olivia repeated, her voice sing-song. "No, Olivia, I'm not," Victoria replied, struggling to maintain her mock-serious demeanor. Olivia couldn't help but chuckle at the irony. "Adult parents acting like teenagers," she muttered, amused. "Looks like you'll have to tell your dad about the trip," Victoria concluded, her stance unwavering. With a resigned sigh, Olivia agreed. "Fine, I'll talk to him." Victoria's expression brightened. "Good. Now let's eat. Dinner's getting cold." As they made their way into the kitchen, Victoria busied herself warming up plates of a hearty meal. The savory aromas filled the room as she carefully prepared the dishes, a comforting and familiar routine. Meanwhile, Olivia sat at the table, lost in contemplation. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of plans and worries. "I've got to head to Paris to get Royal Perry's knife, and it's right in the middle of so many other plans. Paris, a city I love, now feels like a burden. Who would have thought?" She mused inwardly. Her mind wandered to her parents' upcoming trip. They'll be off to see Grandpa Andrew for his birthday. I won't be there, but I hope it reignites something. Maybe, just maybe, they can find their way back to each other. At the same time, the potential collapse of the Johnson family loomed over Olivia like a dark cloud. Our financial stability, our reputation, it's all hanging by a thread. Can I turn the tide? She pondered, feeling the weight of her family's legacy on her shoulders. As she thought about the mansion renovations scheduled for April and the development of a new game, her head began to throb. It's all piling up. Can I really juggle all this? Victoria set down Olivia's plate, noticing her daughter rubbing her temples. What's wrong, honey? Olivia looked up, a weary smile on her lips. Just a lot on my plate, figuratively and literally, she said, trying to lighten the mood. Victoria's frown deepened, sensing Olivia's stress. Is there anything I can do to help? You're taking on so much. Olivia's smile became more genuine, touched by her mother's offer. I'll manage, Mom. It's nothing I can't handle. Yet as she picked at her food, her internal doubt surfaced. But can I really handle it all? Am I overestimating myself in my head? Olivia wondered, a flicker of uncertainty in her heart. The rest of the dinner passed in comfortable silence, a mother and daughter sharing a meal, each lost in their own thoughts. Hoping for a moment of solace, Olivia made her way to her room. But as she neared, her brow furrowed in confusion at the unmistakable sounds of her game, Grudge Keeper. The digital clashes and cries of victory seemed out of place. Approaching her door, Olivia's confusion deepened as she heard Michael's voice, animated and intense, yelling at the game. Take that, Grudge Boss! He exclaimed with a competitive fervor. Then, to her utter surprise, Morgana's voice chimed in, full of enthusiasm. You're so close, Michael, you can do it. Olivia paused at her doorway, her eyes widening at the sight before her. Michael was wholly engrossed in the game, his fingers dancing over the controller with the focus she rarely saw in him. Behind him, Morgana leaned in, her eyes glued to the screen, cheering him on with an investment that was both amusing and bewildering. "What in the world are you two doing?" Olivia asked, her voice a blend of amusement and bewilderment. Without looking away from the screen, Morgana replied, "Michael's about to beat the Grudge Boss. It's a big deal." Olivia watched the unlikely duo, a bemused smile playing on her lips. Her internal monologue kicked in. Is this really happening? Did I just walk into an alternate universe? Then, with a triumphant yell, Michael conquered the hulking enemy on the screen. Morgana erupted in tears, and the two shared a victorious high five, their excitement palpable. Michael, breathing heavily as if he had run a marathon, finally turned off the game and acknowledged Olivia. "Did you see that? I beat the Grudge Boss." Michael, suddenly realizing his lapse in greetings, turned to Olivia with a warm smile. "Hi, Liv. Where have you been all evening?" Olivia leaned against the doorframe, her tone playful. "Clearly, I've missed where all the fun was." Michael's cheeks tinged with a hint of embarrassment. "Yeah, I got a bit carried away trying to beat that damn boss," he admitted, scratching the back of his head. "Bruno picked me up from school today." Olivia casually dropped, watching her father's reaction. Michael's face shifted from amusement to concern, a father's protective instinct surfacing. "Bruno picked you up, why?" Olivia shrugged. "Jack wanted to see me, that's why Bruno was sent." Michael's expression grew more serious at the mention of Jack. "What did Jack want?" "They wanted to tell me about Rachel and Monica," Olivia explained, maintaining a neutral tone. "Rachel's been sentenced to 2 years, and Monica, she got 20 for attempting to murder Jack." Michael frowned, his suspicion evident. "Only 2 years for Rachel?" Olivia responded with a nonchalant shrug. "Probably Bruno's doing." "How did they get sentenced so quickly?" "I'm guessing Bruno pulled some strings to get them processed quickly to keep them out of Jack's reach." Michael's brows knitted together, distrust evident in his voice. "It's hard for me to trust anything when it comes to Dad and Bruno." "Was that all they wanted to talk about?" Olivia's mind raced, weighing the pros and cons of sharing everything. She opted for discretion, her internal dialogue firm. No need to bring up the mansion deal now. It might complicate things further. "Yeah, that's all they wanted to tell me," she lied smoothly, masking any hint of her hidden agenda. Sensing Michael's lingering doubts, Olivia smoothly shifted the conversation. "Dad, there's something else. You're going on a trip with Mom to visit Grandpa Andrew." Michael looked utterly baffled. "Visit Andrew Park? Why on earth would I do that?" Olivia closed the distance between them, her charm at full throttle. "Grandpa Andrew's birthday is in April. It's the perfect chance for you and Mom to celebrate with him. Plus, it could be an opportunity for you to mend fences." She leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "And who knows, it might even bring you and Mom closer." Michael's interest was visibly piqued at the mention of Victoria. Olivia, sensing her advantage, wove an elaborate narrative. "Imagine it, Dad. A scenic trip, just you and Mom, rekindling old flames." Her eyes sparkled with mischief. "Plus, it gives me a chance to run Confluence while you're away. To prove I can handle it." Michael, now fully captivated by the idea, nodded in agreement. Liv, that actually sounds like a good plan. A trip with Victoria might be just what we need." From the corner of the room, Morgana piped up, "I like trips. Can I come too?" Olivia chuckled. "Sorry, Morgana, but a romantic getaway with my parents? I don't think so. But hey, you can come with me to Paris." Morgana's face lit up at the prospect. "Paris? That sounds amazing." Olivia's amusement was evident as she watched Morgana's excitement about Paris. She then turned her teasing gaze to Michael. "Dad, have you been secretly training to be a professional gamer or something?" Michael, his cheeks now a more pronounced shade of red, stammered, No, it's just, a bit of fun." Olivia raised an eyebrow, giving him a playful, skeptical look. Mom seems to think you're on a mission to conquer the gaming world." Michael chuckled awkwardly, his hands fidgeting. "Well, I might have gotten a bit carried away, but it's not like I'm ignoring everything else." "So you're saying Mom's wrong about you being glued to the screen?" Olivia asked, her voice laced with humor. Michael sighed. "She might have a point, but it's not entirely true. I mean, she got really upset after I beat her at Grudge Keeper." Olivia's eyes widened in mock surprise. "You beat Mom in Grudge Keeper? How's that possible? It's not even a multiplayer game." Michael's expression softened. "We were trading off turns, seeing who could get the higher score. I just got caught up in the game, and before I knew it, I'd won. I didn't mean to upset her." Olivia couldn't help but laugh. "This is too good. I have to hear Mom's side of the story." She found Victoria in the living room absorbed in a book. "Mom, so I hear you and Dad had an epic showdown in Grudge Keeper?" Victoria looked up, her cheeks flushing with a hint of embarrassment. "That man! He didn't have to go all out like that." Olivia chuckled. "So you're not speaking to him because he won?" "No, it's not just that," Victoria protested, her tone defensive yet playful. "He was gloating. It's his smug attitude that I can't stand." Olivia shook her head in amusement. "You two are like teenagers. I should record this for posterity." Victoria waved her off, but a smile tugged at her lips. "Oh, go on, laugh it up, but you just wait until you're in a long-term relationship." Olivia grinned. "I'll take notes on what not to do from you two." Leaving them to their evening, Olivia made her way to the bathroom, her laughter echoing down the hallway. As she ran the water, Olivia dialed Jed Park to arrange her parents' plane tickets for the trip to see Andrew. She could barely suppress a grin, thinking about how her plan was falling perfectly into place. Olivia was in the midst of her bedtime routine when her phone rang, displaying Jed's name. Puzzled, she answered, "Jed, is everything okay?" Jed's voice came through, tinged with concern. "Olivia, what's going on? You wouldn't just let Victoria visit us unless something was up." Olivia let out a small curse under her breath. "You always were too perceptive, Jed," she sighed, resigning herself to honesty. "Okay, yes, I have my reasons. There's a lot going on here that I need to handle without them around." Jed's tone shifted to one of concern. "Do you need me to come over there and help? This sounds serious." "No, stay put," Olivia quickly replied. "They need to be there for Grandpa Andrew's birthday, and it's crucial that everything looks normal." Jed paused, then said hesitantly, "If you're sure, just know I'm here if you need anything." "Thanks, Jed, I appreciate it," Olivia said, feeling a bit relieved. There was a brief silence before a deeper, more authoritative voice replaced Jed's. "Olivia?" The new voice on the phone made Olivia's heart skip a beat. Is it really him? "Hello? Can you hear me?" Olivia stood frozen, her phone still pressed to her ear. Her grandfather, Andrew Park, was on the other end. His voice was a mix of sternness and warmth, a contrast to the cold, distant image she had always pictured. "Olivia!" Andrew's voice came through again, pulling her from her thoughts. She realized with a jolt that she had never actually heard her grandfather's voice before. The realization brought a wave of shock and guilt. Why had she never reached out? Why had she let the family's complex history keep her from knowing him? "Grandpa Andrew, I'm here," Olivia stammered, trying to mask her emotional turmoil. Andrew's tone softened. "I'm concerned, Olivia. Why are you sending Victoria and Michael to visit me? Is everything all right in New York?" Olivia took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Everything's under control, Grandpa. I just thought it would be good for them, and for the family." "I find it quite noble you trying to protect your parents," Andrew said, his voice tinged with the kindness Olivia hadn't expected. She was taken aback, struggling to find words. "Thank you, Grandpa. That means a lot coming from you." "If you're facing any troubles in New York, you can always ask for my help, Olivia," Andrew offered. A small chuckle escaped her lips as she continued to listen to Andrew. So many things were flooding her mind. Confused, Grandpa Andrew asked, Is something funny? Olivia tried to stop her giggle as she replied, Jed always described you as an old, mischievous man with a voice like an angry frog. In the background, Andrew's voice raised in mock indignation. Jed, what have you been telling her about me? From a distance, Jed's voice floated back, a mix of humor and exasperation. Olivia, why did you have to tell him that? Olivia laughed. Sorry, Jed, couldn't resist. Andrew's voice carried a playful note. Don't listen to that stinky, goofy boy, Olivia. The exchange brought a sense of lightness to Olivia's heart. It was a stark contrast to her interactions with Jack, who had always been critical and harsh. Here was a grandfather offering support and affection. A stark and welcome difference. You're a smart, capable young woman, Olivia. I trust you know what you're doing. Andrew continued, his tone sincere. Feeling a rush of warmth, Olivia responded, Thank you, Grandpa. It means everything to hear you say that. But remember, Andrew added, no matter how capable you are, you might still need this old man. Olivia felt a lump in her throat, overwhelmed by the unexpected emotional support. I'll remember that, Grandpa. Andrew's tone turned lighter. Now tell me about yourself. Your mother brags about you all the time, but I want to hear it from you. Stunned, Olivia asked, You want to know about me? Of course, Andrew chuckled. I already know you're smarter and tougher than Jed. There must be more to you. She laughed. Well, I'm pretty cool, Grandpa. See, you're funny and not modest. Great traits. You must get them from your old frog of a grandfather. Andrew joked. You're very funny, Grandpa, and kind. Not what I expected at all. Olivia admitted. I'm glad I surprised you. We'll have to get to know each other better. Andrew said warmly. I would love that, Olivia said genuinely. And don't be a stranger, Olivia. I won't be, Grandpa, thank you, Olivia said, her voice thick with unshed tears. As she ended the call, Olivia stood in her room, the magnitude of the conversation washing over her. For the first time, she felt the support of a grandfather who respected and believed in her. It was overwhelming, almost enough to bring her to tears. Olivia muttered to herself, I can't believe one conversation made me this emotional. Olivia fought back the stubborn tears that threatened to spill over. Her thoughts drifted to Jack. I hate how that cruel old man never made me feel like this. As she regained her composure, Morgana breezed into her room in her pajamas, seemingly ready for bed. Olivia was caught off guard, quickly wiped her eyes and turned away. Morgana, observant as ever, noticed Olivia's red nose. What's wrong, Olivia? She asked, concern lacing her voice. Olivia turned back, feigning normalcy. Nothing. I'm fine. Morgana raised an eyebrow, sitting beside Olivia. I can practically smell your tears, you know. Olivia frowned. Smell my tears? What are you, a tear-sniffing dog? You're so odd sometimes, Morgana. Morgana shrugged, a quirky grin on her face. So what's really eating at you? Olivia sighed, deciding to change the subject. I found a room for you like I promised. The only issue is you might not be able to live in it for a few months, maybe not until the end of the year. That's fine, I don't mind sharing a room, Morgana replied nonchalantly. My only problem is boredom. Watching Michael play that game was the most excitement I've had here. Olivia raised an eyebrow. What kind of excitement are you looking for? At last I checked, your idea was unleashing bugs on people. Morgana laughed, a mischievous glint in her eye. I love practicing venom witchcraft, but that's not the excitement I'm after. I just worried I might start talking to the walls out of boredom. Olivia chuckled at Morgana's quirky demeanor. We can't have you going full talking to walls mode. Maybe we need to find you a hobby or something. Have you ever tried knitting? Or maybe, considering your unique talents, bug training? Morgana smirked. Bug training? That's actually not a bad idea. Imagine a circus performing insects. I could be the ringleader. The two shared a laugh. In the midst of their laughter, a light bulb went off in Olivia's head. She turned to Morgana, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Morgana, taken aback, said wearily, I hope you're not seriously considering a bug circus. I mean, I know I'm weird, but please don't tell me you don't think I'm that weird. Bugs are for torture, not entertainment. Olivia stared at Morgana, a mixture of disbelief and amusement on her face. You are incredibly odd, you know that. She laughed, shaking her head. Gaining her composure, Olivia proposed, How about you come to school with me? Morgana's eyes widened. You mean attend school like an actual American high school? Exactly, Olivia confirmed. A grin spread across Morgana's face. Is it as treacherous as they show in the movies? Because if it's that awful, sign me up. Olivia chuckled. It's utterly awful, you'll love it. Morgana clapped her hands together. I adore a good challenge. Great, Olivia said, smiling. But there's one condition if you're going to school with me. Morgana raised an eyebrow. What's that? No bugs, Olivia stated firmly. And absolutely no poisoning people. Morgana considered for a moment, her face showing a hint of disappointment. No bugs at all? Not even one tiny spider? Olivia shook her head. No bugs. School's tough enough without turning it into a horror movie. Morgana sighed, but then nodded in agreement. Fine, I'll leave my little friends at home, but they're not going to be happy about it. So it's settled then, Olivia said, a mix of amusement and seriousness. Morgana, the bug-wielding witch, is going to high school, and without any of her creepy crawlers. Morgana's eyes gleamed with mischief. I'll just have to find other ways to keep things interesting. Olivia playfully rolled her eyes. Just try to keep the drama to a minimum, okay? We don't need any more headlines about mysterious happenings at school. Morgana eagerly extended her hand to Olivia, her eyes gleaming with excitement. We have a deal, she declared. Olivia reached out, shaking Morgana's hand firmly. As the night grew deeper, they both prepared for bed, the room filled with the soft rustling of pajamas and the quiet hum of the city outside. They settled into the bed, lying side by side, the moonlight casting a serene glow through the window. Morgana lay awake, her mind buzzing with the anticipation of attending school. Her thoughts raced with images of bustling hallways, curious classmates, and the typical high school dramas she had seen in movies. In the quiet of the room, Morgana whispered, Olivia? There was no response, only the sound of steady breathing. She whispered again, a little louder, Olivia! Turning her head, Morgana saw Olivia fast asleep, her features relaxed and peaceful. Morgana studied her friend's face, noting the soft rise and fall of her chest with each breath. There was a certain tranquility about Olivia in her slumber, a contrast to the sharp, calculated persona she often carried. Morgana sighed, turning her gaze back to the ceiling. Her excitement had no outlet now, but it didn't diminish her eagerness for what lay ahead. I can't wait to go to school, she whispered to the darkness. Her mind wandered to the possibilities. Maybe after the first week I can sneak in some bugs, she mused, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. School will definitely be better with my little friends. The options would be endless. She pictured herself navigating the hallways with a secret army of insects at her beck and call, ready to unleash them at the slightest provocation. The thought brought a sense of wicked delight. As sleep began to calm her, Morgana's last thoughts were filled with the endless possibilities of her new adventure. In her dreams, she walked the halls of the school, a queen in her own right, with a hidden power that no one suspected. And with that final thought, Morgana drifted off to sleep, a smile still lingering on her lips, eager for the challenges and excitement that awaited her in the American high school. The early morning sun crept through the curtains of Olivia's room, casting a warm, golden glow across the space. Amid this tranquil morning scene, Morgana bustled about the room, a whirlwind of energy and excitement. Morgana emerged from the closet in her first outfit choice. The top was covered with intricate bug designs, each delicately detailed, while her pants were a deep, dark shade fully giving dark goth girl. She twirled in front of the mirror, inspecting her reflection critically. This isn't the right fit for the first day, Morgana murmured to herself, her face thoughtful. In a flash, she disappeared back into the closet, only to reappear moments later in a completely different outfit. This time, she wore an emo-style fit, devoid of bug imagery, but still exuding a unique offbeat charm. The black top was simple yet edgy, paired with heavy dark eyeliner and unnecessary bangs. Is this the right outfit for the first day? Morgana pondered aloud, tilting her head back as she examined her reflection once more. Meanwhile, the sounds of Morgana's indecisiveness stirred Olivia from her sleep. Groggily, Olivia opened her eyes, her vision slowly focusing on Morgana's ever-changing wardrobe display. She glanced at the clock and blinked in disbelief. "Morgana, it's 5:15 a.m. What are you doing?" Olivia asked, her voice heavy with sleep. Morgana turned to face her, a look of determination on her face. "I'm getting ready for school," she declared proudly. Olivia sat up, rubbing her eyes. "School doesn't start for another 3 hours," she pointed out, trying to suppress a yawn. "But it's better to be early, especially on the first day," Morgana countered, her tone serious. Olivia sighed, swinging her legs out of bed. "Morgana, you're not going to school today," she said gently. Morgana's face fell, her excitement quickly turning to disappointment. "Why not?" she asked, her voice tinged with sadness. Olivia explained patiently. "I need to create some records for you, arrange everything. It's not as simple as just showing up." Morgana's disappointment deepened. "Why does everything in America have to be so complicated?" she grumbled. "Trust me, I wondered the same thing," Olivia replied with a soft chuckle. "But you can't go today." Morgana let out a heavy sigh. "So another day of boredom?" Olivia looked at Morgana sympathetically, noticing a unique bracelet on her wrist. "Is that bracelet made of bugs?" she inquired, her curiosity piqued. Morgana's face lit up instantly. "Yes, I made it myself from my dead bugs," she exclaimed, her enthusiasm returning as she held out her wrist for Olivia to see. Olivia stared at the bracelet, a mix of fascination and horror in her eyes. Is letting Morgana come to school a terrible, awful, completely bad idea? Olivia wondered. What if she actually kills one of my classmates? After a busy first half of the day, Olivia took the first opportunity during lunch to call Chris. As she listened to the phone ring, she felt a jolt of eagerness to hear his voice. "Hey, you," Chris answered warmly. He sat at the desk in his room. "Shouldn't you be in school?" he teased. "Ha ha." Olivia rolled her eyes affectionately. "Are you busy right now?" "No, what's up?" Chris leaned against the back of his chair, ready to listen. He was a little concerned that Olivia was calling him in the middle of the school day. Is something wrong? Olivia sensed the slight worry in Chris's voice. "Everything's fine," Olivia reassured him. The sound of his voice and the thought of him worrying about her made her smile a little. "Morgana wants to transfer into Marshall High." "She does?" Chris asked, surprised. "She knows she can't start poisoning people at school, right? How do you know she won't?" He sounded very skeptical, and for good reason. They had seen what Morgana was capable of, and she didn't seem to have any sense of boundaries about when to whip out her talents. "I already talked that over with her. She promised she wouldn't, and I wouldn't try to help her if I didn't think she could handle it. I'll make sure she behaves herself," Olivia said firmly. "If you say so, I guess I have nothing to worry about since I already graduated from high school," Chris joked. "How nice for you," Olivia smiled. "Then you'll have no problem helping me make this happen? How fast do you think it can be arranged?" "Enrollment shouldn't be hard at all, and it'll still be the beginning of the semester. She can probably go to school as soon as tomorrow," Chris said confidently. Then his voice turned softer. "By the way, I miss you. A lot, just FYI." Olivia's heart beat a little faster, and she was glad he couldn't see her blushing. "I kinda miss you too," she said quietly. "Only kind of?" Chris asked, pretending to be offended. "Do you mean miss me like a friend, or do you mean in the same way that I mean it?" he asked playfully. Olivia enjoyed Chris being vulnerable with her, but having to say these things out loud on the phone at school made her start to feel sweaty. "You know what I mean," she answered as her face turned redder. "That's all I'm gonna say for now. I actually need to get going. I have to call Steve Shook, she said, changing the subject. Oh, Steve, huh? Now you're really trying to make me jealous, Chris joked. Yeah, it sounds like it's working. Olivia dryly played along. I'm jealous of anyone and anything that gets to keep hearing your voice for even a little bit longer than I do. Chris shrugged as his eyes roved over a website that was in French on his computer. Okay, Lord Byron, Olivia laughed. Next time I need to call anyone, I won't tell you about it. Very sneaky, Chris smiled and sighed. Okay, go ahead and get back to it. I've got stuff to do too. Thanks, don't get so busy that you forget to eat, okay? Olivia chided. I won't, Chris grinned. He liked it when Olivia was thoughtful about things like that. You eat something too, it's lunchtime. He typed on his computer and then nodded, satisfied. I just booked our flights to Paris for the knife ceremony coming up. I'll pick you up and we'll go together. Sounds great, Olivia answered. She felt a twinge of giddiness, followed by a wave of self-consciousness. I'm acting like a teenage girl, even though technically I am one. All right, if I don't hang up now, I'm going to end up talking to you all day. Okay, hanging up, Chris said. One last thing. I love you. He smiled as he hung up the phone. Olivia heard the dial tone and couldn't contain her smile. Chris! He would sneak that in and hang up before I could answer. Olivia felt warmth radiating out of her. I didn't know it was possible to be this happy. This must be what people mean when they feel like they're glowing. She sighed and shook her head at her phone. I'll get him back next time. Olivia felt so light that she might be floating as she put her phone back into her pocket. Get a room. A nasal voice interrupted Olivia's dreamy vibe. This is an institution for learning, not some sexy call center. Olivia turned to see Amanda Wayne, the rich transfer student who'd already become a thorn in her side, walk out from around the corner. She crossed her arms and frowned in disgust. How long was she just hanging around there? Olivia wondered. This girl is insane. I've met some crazy girls, but nothing quite like her. How embarrassing. As a popular student, I would expect you to be setting a better example for new students like me. Amanda's words were full of venom. How embarrassing? Olivia repeated incredulously. I'm not the one lurking around and eavesdropping on other people's phone calls in the middle of the day. Amanda gasped, offended by the accusation. I didn't need to hear what you were saying. The fact that you had to sneak off in private to have the conversation tells me everything I need to know. Amanda sneered. So you admit you followed me when I went to make a private, which for the record was perfectly appropriate, phone call? Olivia smiled at the absurdity. If you're going to be a weirdo, at least stay hidden like the ones who are good at it. And if you thought that phone call was sexy, I'm embarrassed for you. Amanda scowled and her face reddened. Don't make me go tell a teacher about what you were doing. I'll go right now. Amanda threatened. Go ahead. Olivia waved her hand dismissively. I hope that you do, and remember to include how you followed me and eavesdropped on my very normal phone call. Ugh. Amanda stomped her foot in frustration and stormed off. What a psycho, Olivia said to herself and shook her head. Who does that? Olivia returned to class where her friends warmly greeted her and continued chatting. Hey, Lena. Olivia waved as she sat back in her seat. Just as Olivia settled in, Callie Wilson ran into the classroom looking like she had scandalous news. Olivia, she said breathlessly. I just passed by Adam's office. I saw that new girl, Amanda Wayne, in there crying like something terrible had happened, and I heard her complain to him that you bullied her. Olivia was taken aback. She said that I bullied her? She really had the nerve to go in there and lie to our teacher? Oh no, what did Amanda do this time? Lena asked. She started paying attention as soon as she heard Amanda Wayne's name. I haven't had a nemesis outside of games in a long time, but she is definitely my new nemesis, Lena thought fiercely. Harassing me just wasn't good enough for her, I guess. She had to go and start trouble with you too. She eavesdropped on my phone call with Chris, Olivia explained. We weren't doing or saying anything wrong. I just had a question for him and we chatted a little and that was it. She somehow rounded that up to something. What? Lena gaped. How? Why? I don't know. I'm just as baffled. Olivia threw up her hands. So she jumped out and told me off like a criminal. And I defended myself and told her not to eavesdrop like that. And I guess she went and pretended to be the victim. Oh my God, she is unreal. Lena clapped her hand to her forehead in disbelief. What is this, first grade? Who else would go to tattle to the teacher with something completely made up? The truth comes out and everyone knows there's no way you would do something like that. She really does act like a toddler, even down to all the crying. Sam Feinstein nodded. It might be a weird other school thing. I heard from a friend in another class that they had a transfer student from the same private school as Amanda, and they were exactly the same. Super weird and annoying. Sounds like that private school is mass-producing these jerks. Millie joked. She frowned at the memory of Amanda's outrageous behavior. It was so childish, and it made her cringe. Yeah, what is in the water over there? Frances wondered aloud. I heard the same thing about the new transfer students from there and other classes, too. They all sound just like Amanda. One of them? Sure, maybe every school has some weirdos, but that many? Olivia sat quietly while they all discussed Amanda. She was thinking over the mystery of Amanda's strange behavior, too. She knew that the private school Amanda transferred from had infamously expensive tuition fees. The facilities were top-notch, and the students and teachers were known to be exemplary and have very high standards. Weirdly, the school closed down just like that, given its reputation. Everyone shook their heads in disgust. Even just one Amanda Wayne was way more than their teacher Adam could handle. A few minutes later, Adam returned to the classroom with a weepy Amanda in tow. Everyone grew quiet and glared at her, waiting to see what would happen next. Olivia, can you please explain to me what happened this afternoon? Adam asked diplomatically. The accusations Amanda made were pretty serious, but Adam struggled to understand how it could really be true. I need to gather the facts before making any decisions, he thought. This afternoon? Olivia shrugged. You mean how I was chatting with everyone in the classroom? It's true. Lena and the others nodded enthusiastically. Is there something wrong? You're lying. You're all lying. Amanda hissed. Don't pretend you don't know what he's talking about. You were on the phone at the staircase today. Huh? Olivia blinked. How did you know what time it was that I went there and made my call? Amanda paused. She was caught off guard by Olivia's question. What does that have to do with anything? She snapped defensively. Well, it's kind of weird because I've been in the classroom. Why did you say I made my phone call on the stairs? Olivia asked skeptically. Olivia turned to Adam with a puzzled look and asked, Adam, what do you think happened? Amanda said you two argued at the stairs. She said she intervened because she saw you having a conversation with your boyfriend on the phone that was not appropriate for school. Adam explained awkwardly. His mind was reeling. This can't possibly be true about Olivia. Even if it was, this is the last thing I want to be talking to teens about. But it's so out of character for Olivia, it sounds silly. But I'm a teacher and I have to take these kinds of things seriously. If you ignore a red flag and then it turns out to be something more serious, that can be big trouble. Me and my boyfriend, what? Olivia raised her eyebrows at Amanda. Does that sound even a little bit like me? She appealed to Adam. Amanda, is it possible you were mistaken about what you heard? No, I saw it with my own eyes and she's lying. Amanda insisted. Olivia's refusal to admit what happened made her even more furious. You were definitely on the phone at the staircase at noon, that's a fact. According to whom? Olivia countered. According to me, I saw. Amanda spat. And how did you see me going to place my phone call? Olivia questioned like a lawyer. Because I followed you there. Amanda finally blurted. As soon as she said those words, Amanda gasped and clapped her hands over her mouth. Olivia was pleased to see Amanda's panicked face and heard her thoughts loud and clear. I've said too much. You've done it now, Olivia thought smugly. Now everybody can see you for the fraud you are. She crossed her arms and cleared her throat. I guess you forgot to include the part about you stalking me when you told him your story, Amanda. You can't exactly blame people for telling you to stop being so weird, can you? Amanda stammered and glanced around the room at all of the dirty looks pointed her way. Her cheeks turned red and her eyes were wide like a cornered animal. She knew she was pretty caught, but wasn't ready to give up just yet. You're tricking everyone. Amanda pointed her finger at Olivia. Tricking everyone? Olivia smiled incredulously. Why would I be tricking everyone? It's pretty simple, and you admitted it yourself. You were following me to spy on me for some reason. That's what's weird here. But Amanda bit her lip and struggled to come up with more to say. But you... I haven't done anything to you at all, much less bullied you, Olivia said coldly. Amanda, you've been picking on me ever since we first got back to school yesterday. I should be the one asking you, what is your problem? Amanda looked at the floor and took a step back in retreat. Go on, tell us, Olivia pressed. What's the truth? Amanda looked around with wild eyes and knew she had been beaten. She scrunched up her face in a furious scowl. You bullied me, she screeched and ran from the room wailing. Everyone in the room sat in stunned silence. Olivia's eyebrows were as high as they could go on her forehead. I really didn't think she was going to do that. She's worse than Monica. Olivia shook her head. So unable to give up on a lie. How stupid is she to keep challenging me when she's totally lost? Adam let out a long, tired sigh. Well, I have no idea what this is about or what's going on. I think we all need to just take a breath and go about our lunch business. I'll be in my office. Don't forget to work on your English assignment for later today. The class all murmured yes awkwardly. All right then, I'll just be in my office, Adam said in a daze and left the classroom. As soon as the door shut behind Adam, everyone burst into a flurry of whispers about what they had just witnessed. I've been saying, how are there so many weirdos all of a sudden coming to Marshall just because one private school shut down? Frances exclaimed. I know, they're being weird. And then they're acting like a 5-year-old who is also a pathological liar and very, very mean with their insults. Lena agreed. While everyone else chattered about their own theories, Olivia quietly thought over the same strange observation herself. Olivia knew that normally a school like Marshall High School wouldn't attract so many students with such strange, irrational, immature behavior. However, her experience in her previous life had allowed her to witness this phenomenon before. Preferential acceptance was given to transfer students from a private school that shut down, because those students' families were almost always very wealthy. Wealthy enough to afford the private school tuition in the first place, at least. The Marshall School couldn't afford to turn down the money from these wealthy families. So of course there was an influx of transfers once the private school closed. Most of them were trust fund types who had never been told no in their entire lives, and probably felt they were too good for a place like Marshall High, even though plenty of kids from prestigious families went there already. It was a cultural difference in the private school attitude, and Amanda was the poster child for this exact stereotype. In some extreme cases, the students became spoiled and stunted, acting out like little children instead of well-adjusted teenagers. These meltdowns are just the beginning of our problems, Olivia thought with a groan. To everyone's surprise, after lunch, Amanda never returned to their class. After many curious looks about her conspicuous absence, Millie had the nerve to ask about it. So, is Amanda coming back, or... She lowered her voice so only those around her could hear. I don't want to get too excited yet. Adam sighed. Nothing gets by these kids, he grumbled inwardly. Amanda, she requested a transfer to a different class. Huh, Lena snorted. That's the first smart thing she's done since she got here. She was going to be a major problem if she stayed. Everyone else nodded and murmured in agreement. A palpable relaxation swept through the room. One other change. We're going to have a new student joining us tomorrow. Her name is Morgana. Adam announced, unsure of how this news would land. Huh? Sam and Millie exclaimed at the same time and turned to look questioningly at Olivia. Olivia nodded confidently to confirm their questions. Sam and Millie had mixed feelings about hearing Morgana would be joining their class on account of their histories with her potions. Cameron Pell sensed Millie's nervous energy as she sat next to him. He carefully pulled out a small piece of paper and scribbled a note that he slipped over to her. You okay? Is something wrong? The note said. Millie hesitated for a moment before writing her response. Are you afraid of bugs? Not really. Cameron wrote back. That's good. Millie quickly scribbled. She didn't add any more. Cameron turned to look at Millie's profile and saw she had a slight smile. At the desk behind them, Camilla Pell dreamily held her smiling face in both hands as she watched Cameron and Millie from behind. My brother is so funny, she chuckled to herself. He's being so shy. Where did he learn this? He needs to make more obvious moves. That's how it's done. Sam noticed Camilla looking very entertained. Camilla, what has you so amused? Sam looked at his deskmate with a confused expression. What are you thinking about? Oh, nothing. Camilla waved her hand and rolled her eyes dismissively. Who's amused? I'm not amused. Really? Sam muttered doubtfully. I clearly saw you laughing about something. And I said it was nothing. Camilla scoffed impatiently. You're usually the one mumbling to yourself all the time, and I don't ask you nosy questions, do I? No, but you're laughing to yourself. That's weirder, I think. Sam said quietly. Can't a girl just be alone with her thoughts for a few minutes without being interrogated? Camilla snorted. Fine, don't tell me. Sam crossed his arms, annoyed. I'm a feminist. Enjoy your thoughts. Thank you for your permission, sir. I will. Camilla scoffed again. Hey! Sam protested and turned to Camilla to argue. You guys, Camilla and Sam, quiet down, please. You're gonna want to hear what I'm covering since it's going to be on the test. Adam interrupted. Sam shut his mouth and stared forward in a huff. I'm a feminist, he mumbled. There you go, talking to yourself again. Camilla jabbed in a whisper. Sam held up his palm without looking at her. The next day, Morgana finally got her wish to attend her first day of school. Olivia helped her prepare by taking her shopping for school supplies. They got a bag for her books, pencils, pens of every color, notebooks and binders, even fun-looking erasers that looked like little pieces of fruit. She had a new love for school supplies and wanted to collect it all. Morgana was so excited waiting to go to school that she didn't get any sleep the entire night. Morgana didn't feel tired at all for the whole morning, until she was suddenly gently shaken awake by a short old man with a mustache later that afternoon. Morgana sat upright, awake. She recognized the room as her history class, and the mustache man was her history teacher. The teacher didn't seem mad. You looked very peaceful. I almost didn't want to wake you, he said pleasantly. Morgana smiled apologetically. In the future, just remember to get plenty of sleep at home before coming to class, he said in a good-natured tone. The rest of the class snickered quietly. Morgana looked around confused. What's so funny? She whispered to Olivia. Olivia sighed and shook her head helplessly. She tried to warn Morgana to get some sleep, but it was no use. She'll probably sleep like a baby tonight. Overall, Olivia felt the switch to Morgana after Amanda was very welcomed by all of the students. Even with Morgana accidentally dozing off in class, she wasn't antagonizing anyone or having any wild emotional outbursts. Olivia was pleased with this going-to-school experiment. At the end of the school day, Morgana's excitement for being a student had waned considerably. She swung her heavy school bag over her shoulder, kicked a small pebble, and watched it skid away. So, this is school, she sighed. You had an entire day. How do you feel? Olivia asked. Well, class is boring, but after class is pretty fun. I like that. Morgana thought for a moment, then added confidently. I like all of the time that are not during class. Isn't school that part that is during class, though? Olivia asked. It only took the first day for you to get sick of it, huh? My bad, Morgana shrugged. I still think it's better than waiting all day for you to get home with nothing to do. That's more boring. I'll keep trying this school thing instead. Olivia rolled her eyes. I've never met someone who expected school to be fun the whole time. TV and movies make it look so fun, but it's not like that. Blame Hollywood. Morgana shrugged. Even the lockers are like way smaller in real life. Olivia shook her head, at a loss for how to appease Morgana. With your wild imagination and endless energy, I'll have to send you to Hogwarts or something. Oh, what's Hogwarts? Morgana asked sincerely. This is why you need to be in school, Olivia answered. The first thing Olivia did when she got back home was call Steve Shook. She had wanted to reach out to Steve earlier after talking to Chris, but Amanda Wayne had rudely interrupted her. Steve should have been in class that day, but there was no sign of him, and still no one had heard from him all day. Olivia didn't want to jump to conclusions, but she was starting to feel a little worried. The last time she had a bad gut feeling about Steve, it had been even worse than any of them could have imagined. I'll just call him and then I can stop worrying, she told herself. Olivia took a calming breath and dialed Steve's number on the phone. Olivia? Steve's voice answered in surprise. Olivia felt a wave of relief wash over her. Steve, hi, I was just calling to check on you, Olivia explained. We were expecting you to come back to school today. You even have a seat saved in Adam's class. Olivia laughed as she remembered the big argument over it with Amanda. I'll tell you the story about that when you get back. That's really nice, thanks, Olivia, Steve said. He sounded a little distant. Olivia pushed forward. Anyway, we noticed you weren't back in school today. Why didn't you come? Yeah, about that, Steve said hesitantly. I'm still in London. Oh no, have your injuries not healed yet? Did the doctor say you need more time? Olivia asked, concerned. No, it's not that. I'm completely fine. Good as new, actually, Steve said. He held the phone to his ear with one hand and distractedly flipped through some documents with the other. Good, then you should be back soon then, right? Olivia asked hopefully. Steve was silent on the other end, and Olivia's heart sank as she dreaded whatever he might say next. Finally, his voice came through, laced with sadness. Olivia, I don't think I can return to New York. Steve, you can't be serious, Olivia said, stunned. You're never coming back? I don't know, Steve admitted. I just have so much responsibility now. Olivia was surprised that Steve was overwhelmed in his role as the new head of the powerful Shook family, but not for the reasons either of them thought he would be. I'm going crazy sitting in an office going over paperwork all day. He couldn't help but say to her, I hate my desk chair. I have lower back pain at 17. I just zone out and read and reread the same lines and contracts and proposals. I get that, Olivia said, reflecting on her own experiences as the head of her gaming company, Confluence. A role like that could certainly include its share of drudgery. Is there anyone there who you work with that you can talk to? No, Steve cried, surprising her. Everyone I see every day just wants to talk about getting their kids into a good school, or how they have to take new blood pressure medication. Oh no, Olivia moaned, sympathetic. Steve continued. This is all really important stuff that I don't trust anyone else to do for my family. But I'm dying to get back to hanging out at school or running a game test. I just don't know when I'll ever be able to. Olivia felt bad for Steve. He was really sacrificing his happiness and his senior year of high school, a key moment in his youth, for his family. I'm so sorry, Steve. You know, he said wistfully, I always dreamed of tearing down the whole big important Shook family enterprise and just ruining it forever. I wanted to be an agent of no chaos and free everybody. Life really has a sick sense of humor. Now the Shook family is doing its best to ruin me instead. These families do have a life of their own. Olivia shook her head. She decided to change the subject, feeling melancholy about her own complicated history with the Johnson family. Hey, how is Robbie doing now? Steve brightened. He's pretty good. He has a funny relationship with Wendy. She got him into reality TV somehow, so they spent the whole weekend catching him up on this season of The Bachelor and yelling at the screen together. I don't think a kid his age should have such strong opinions about how some lady was being rude on a group date. Wow, that is not what I expected to hear, Olivia said with a laugh. What about you and Wendy? How are you two doing? What do you mean? Steve evaded the question coyly. I have watched exactly 0 episodes of The Bachelor with her, if that's what you're asking. You know it's not what I'm asking, Olivia pressed. Any developments with you two? I think so, but I'm not pushing it, Steve answered truthfully. I'm just enjoying any time we get to spend together right now. Oh, he said, suddenly remembering something. I just got Royal Perry's invitation to the knife ceremony. I'll see you in Paris. But you're so busy, Olivia teased. You're really going to be able to tear yourself away to support little old me? I have to, Steve said, returning her teasing with a serious tone. There's sure to be some foul play to keep that last knife out of your hands. Everyone wants it, and that's the only shot they've got to take it from you. If I'm not there to help you, everyone's going to do their best to eat you alive. Well, thank you in advance, she tried to say lightly, but couldn't hide that she was not looking forward to all of that. You are welcome. And you could thank me by putting in a good word for me with Wendy. She listens to you the most, he prodded. That depends on your performance in Paris, Olivia answered, raising an eyebrow. And since I know you have a lot of paperwork to get to, I should let you go until then. He sighed, dreading having to get off the phone. Okay, he answered, his voice heavy. See you then, Olivia. Bye, Steve. Good luck with everything. They hung up. Olivia sighed and looked out the window at the city, tapping her phone thoughtfully against herself. Steve is right, she realized. Pretty much anyone who shows up in Paris will be intending to fight me for the last knife. And who could blame them? Getting their hands on my or Jeremy's knife is a once-in-a-lifetime chance. Paris was going to be a head-on battle of strength, and nobody would be fighting fair. But Olivia narrowed her eyes. She was ready for the challenge. She refused to let anyone take what she had rightfully won. And if they try to take it from me, I will take their life. As Olivia was lost in these defiant thoughts, her phone buzzed. Someone was calling, and after glancing to see who it was, she broke into a grateful smile and answered. Hey, what a coincidence. On the other end of the line was Jeremy, the other winner of Royal Perry's final 2 knives. It's me, he said. His voice was pleasant, always in a bit of a lazy drawl. Olivia noticed that he sounded nervous. I know it's you, she replied with a smile. Did you call me because you're also thinking about Paris? He laughed. Yes, I'm thinking about it very much. He started to ask, but stopped himself. Olivia waited a beat. Will what? Jeremy sighed. Will Chris Jones be going with you? Yes, Olivia said, amused. My skills can't compare to yours. I need all the help I can get. Olivia. He was concerned for her, but felt at a loss in the face of her teasing. Be careful. Don't worry, she replied. Are you leaving from San Francisco? Yeah, he answered. How is Celeste doing? Olivia asked. She loved Jeremy's mother, who had been treated lately by Dr. Brent for some health issues. I just checked in on her a couple of days ago. She's much better. Brent is taking really good care of her. Jeremy paused for a moment, then added softly, She says she misses you. I miss her too, Olivia said sincerely. I'm really relieved she's doing better. I'm glad she's in good hands. Yeah, me too, Jeremy said, his voice heavy. Well, is there anything else I can let you go? Olivia asked, getting the feeling there was something he wasn't saying. There was a long pause. Jeremy? He stammered. Olivia had never known him to act like this. No, he said finally. I just wanted to know how you were doing lately. I'm doing good, she answered carefully. It seemed like he didn't want to tell her what was on his mind, but she wanted to leave the door open for him to. "Let me know if you want to talk anytime, Jeremy." "Of course," he replied. "I'll see you in Paris." She hung on, not wanting to rush him off the phone. "Okay," he said. "Bye for now." "Bye for now." She took a deep breath and hung up the phone. Where he sat in his room across the country, Jeremy heard the beep as Olivia disconnected from him. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. He already knew the answers she was going to give him, and he already knew that the two of them didn't have a chance to get romantically involved, especially with Chris in the picture. But he couldn't help himself. He was hoping for something. Jeremy sighed, slightly narrowing his eyes. "I was not cool. Not cool at all." He quietly chided himself. He pulled up the hood on his sweatshirt and pulled its strings, tightening the fabric around his nose, covering his eyes and mouth. "Why are you like this, Jeremy?" he said to his empty room. His phone buzzed. He thought he imagined it at first, but it buzzed again. He was getting a call. "Is she calling me back?" he thought, adrenaline coursing through his body. He yanked the sweatshirt hood open and off his hood, looking at the screen. He deflated immediately. But then another feeling crept up. Why was Chris calling him right at this moment? Was it just a coincidence, or did he know that Jeremy was talking to Olivia and was upset? Was he about to get yelled at? Jeremy gulped. He knew that if he didn't answer, this wouldn't go away either. He picked up right before it went to voicemail. "Chris Jones?" Jeremy asked, trying to sound nonchalant. "What can I do for you?" he asked, his voice cracking atrociously at the word "you." "About going to Paris." Chris ignored Jeremy's voice crack and cut the pleasantries, getting straight to the point. "I have a few things to tell you about the plan for Olivia's safety while the two of you are over there." "Oh, sounds good," Jeremy said, flooded with relief. "Is that why you called? Such weird timing." "Yeah, that's what I just said," Chris answered, thinking that was odd. "Why else would I be calling? Why is it weird timing?" Jeremy froze. "Dang it, Jeremy," he mentally shouted at himself. Just Olivia and I were on the phone, so that's crazy that you just called." There was a long, terrifying pause before Chris finally answered. "What were you two talking about? Paris is pretty far away." "Just catching up. We catch up. That's normal for us," Jeremy said quickly. "You know, we just have a connection, as friends. She and my mom get along too. We talked about her." Jeremy shouted at himself internally again. "Stop talking, Jeremy. Just stop talking." There was another long, horrible pause while Jeremy assumed Chris was planning how he would dismember him. Jeremy couldn't help himself and added, "But I know you two have your own relationship, obviously, and you're actually in a relationship. I mean, it's great. I love that for you two." "I'm gonna go now, man. Bye," Chris said. Before Jeremy could answer, Chris had hung up. Jeremy swore very loudly. Chris immediately dialed Olivia's number. He started pacing back and forth in his room, looking out at a gloomy view of the city. Olivia answered, not expecting to hear from Chris. "Hello? Is something wrong?" she asked, puzzled. "Do you and Jeremy have, like, a thing?" Chris blurted, "I know you were on the phone with them just now." Olivia was extremely confused. "No, we do not have a thing, and how do you know we were on the phone? Please back up, like, several steps." "He told me," Chris replied, starting to get worked up. "He told me all about your little conversation." "We were just catching up, Chris. We're friends. We have conversations. I don't have to defend that to you." "I don't know if I buy that, Olivia. He was being really weird about it." A nagging thought in the back of her mind reminded her that she thought Jeremy was acting weird too. But that can't have anything to do why Chris was reverting to his old jealous self. "We were just talking about Paris, and he told me about his mom. I don't know why he would be weird about that." "Why are you both bragging that you're friends with his mom?" "Whoa, Chris, where is this coming from?" "Don't act like I'm the one being weird, Olivia. Something is definitely up with the two of you, and it's disrespectful that you're making me feel like I'm being crazy." "Disrespectful? You are being a little crazy." As soon as the words left Olivia's mouth, she heard a tone. Chris had hung up. She felt completely blindsided. Chris was being so strange and jealous. They just got onto good terms again, and everything had been so good. but this side of him was so ugly and disappointingly familiar. Panic rose in her throat. Will Chris and I ever have a normal relationship? The winter months passed for Olivia without too much incident. She and Chris remained frosty ever since their odd phone conversation about Chris's jealousy of her and Jeremy. They were thankfully busy enough that they had easy excuses not to see each other much. She was grateful that between school and running Confluence Technology, she felt like she had about 1,000 things besides Chris that needed her attention at any given time. Preparations for the ceremony for her and Jeremy to receive the pair of final knives, forged by the knife god Royal Perry, were squeezed in among everything else. Olivia felt like she blinked in January and then, somehow, it was March. It was already time for her to fly to Paris. Early that morning, Olivia and Morgana packed for their trip, with Olivia very distracted, trying to make sure Morgana did not bring any creepy crawlies in her luggage. Sven drove up to Olivia's building, prompt as ever, and then the three of them were off. Olivia and Chris met each other on the tarmac with curt smiles. He let her climb the stairs onto the plane first, and they awkwardly maneuvered around one another, being overly polite. They sat next to each other, both refusing to act friendly, but also refusing to act outright hostile. They were engaged. It made sense for them to sit next to one another. As the plane took off, Olivia's stomach sank and slowly rose back to its normal position. But her ears weren't popping. New York City got smaller and smaller below them as she opened her jaw a few times, but the uncomfortable pressure remained. She realized a pack of gum was open next to her arm. Chris was holding it out to her. She smiled. "Had enough?" she asked. "Are you done being jealous?" She took a piece. He snorted, pocketing the gum and turning away annoyed. He put on his big, noise-canceling headphones. "Who said I'm not jealous?" he wondered internally. "I think I'm so jealous that I spent the last few months slowly dying of jealousy. I'm terminally jealous." Olivia shook her head, sighing at his refusal to answer her. "Nope, same old Chris," she thought, chewing the gum that finally, mercifully popped her ears. She was relieved. "Hey, friendo!" Sven poked her from the other side, resting a thick graphic novel on his lap. "What happened between you and CJ? He and I are on the rocks because I've decided to start calling him CJ. But there's no way that reason's for you guys, too." Olivia laughed, rolling her eyes. "Nothing happened between us. I don't know what you're talking about. We're being very normal." "Impossible," Sven said, immediately refusing to entertain her denial. "You don't know how terrifying Chris has been the past couple of months. He doesn't treat me like me anymore." "He doesn't treat you like you anymore?" she repeated back to him, amused. She could tell this was a setup for another one of his goofy, long-winded jokes, but still didn't know where exactly this was going. "What do you mean? What does he treat you like?" "You might not believe me if I told you," Sven said, pretending to be very distressed. Sven glanced at Chris, who closed his eyes, his headphones blaring. Sven leaned toward her dramatically. "He asked if he could call me Olivia because he said he needs a replacement." Olivia burst out laughing. "You can't laugh, it's not funny," Sven joked, starting to break into laughter himself. "This is so serious. He bought me a wig. He asked me to study your mannerisms. I think he's possessed." Olivia, painfully aware that she was right next to Chris, tried to stop laughing. She covered her mouth, but her shoulders kept twitching. "I think you're the one who's possessed, Sven," she said between giggles. "I am not," he cried, enjoying how much she was laughing. "I'm just acting weird because I'm trying to study your mannerisms." Olivia glanced at Chris's side profile. His eyes were still closed, and he frowned. It seemed like he was trying a little too hard to give off the impression that he couldn't hear them. Looking at Chris, this jealous young guy, Olivia immediately thought of the Chris she knew in her 20s in her past life. He was the businessman who ruled New York City. He was witty, dry, and effortlessly put together. Nothing like this insecure, controlling boy who had been stubbornly throwing a tantrum for a few months. Olivia sighed. She realized that for the whole time that she had been bemoaning how stubborn Chris was, Olivia wasn't making any first moves either. Maybe she could just swallow her pride and take the high road for both of their sakes. One of them had to break the ice, and Chris still had a few years to become that mature man she knew. Olivia leaned her head on Chris's shoulder. She felt his shoulder muscles stiffen in surprise, but he didn't pull away. She smirked, confident that everything was going to be fine. She closed her eyes and made herself genuinely comfortable. She could use a nap. A moment later, Chris opened his eyes to peek down at Chris. Seeing that she had fallen asleep, he couldn't help but let out a soft sigh. "What should I do with you, Olivia?" he wondered internally. "Oh, who am I kidding? I don't want her to change a damn thing." Olivia slept on Chris's shoulder for the whole flight, dreaming about Sven wearing an Olivia wig and doing a bad impression of her. She felt her stomach lurch with the plane's descent and awoke with the jolt. She did realize then that Chris's arm was around her, giving her a warm, fuzzy feeling. It was good to be back in his good graces. It suddenly felt terrible how long it had been that they had been upset with one another. She smiled at him. "What are you laughing at?" Chris ran the back of an index finger down her cheek. "Do you think if you look so cute, I'll forget about how jealous I am?" "I really don't know why you're jealous at all," Olivia said. "That was such a weird fight. I'm with you. I've been with you." "I don't know," Chris admitted, removing his headphones. "I realize that I've been thinking that we're not really together for sure until we get married, and I'll just wait until that happens to feel better. Until we're married, it feels like it's not real and it could still go away." She gave him a small smile, sympathetic but not wanting to indulge that line of thinking. Since she promised someone a while ago that she would never marry Chris, she couldn't really afford to. She drew a deep breath. "I hate to break it to you, cowboy, but marriages can go away too. They kind of do all the time." "Is this how I found out you're planning to divorce me already?" Chris asked, half joking, but half not. "Great. Now I have a new thing to worry about," he thought to himself. Olivia rolled her eyes helplessly. "No, that's not what I'm saying. Nobody thinks when they're engaged that they're going to get divorced." She glanced out the window at the clouds catching on the wing of the plane. She muttered, "And I can't marry you anyway." "What did you say?" Chris leaned toward her. Nothing, sorry." She leaned back against her seat, closing her eyes. "You're my fiancé," he said quietly. She opened her eyes, seeing his filled with emotion. He looked very vulnerable. "That does mean something to me." "That means something to me too," she answered, not sure exactly what he meant. "You don't have to worry about me." Chris studied her expression, his eyes darting back and forth for a moment as he tried to decide if he believed her. But he was still mystified, unable to draw a solid conclusion. "Forget it," he sighed heavily. After all this time, Olivia still wasn't sure exactly what was bothering Chris. She reached out and grabbed his hand, squeezing it affectionately. He held her hand in return, running his thumb along the back of her hand. After a few more minutes of descent, Olivia was stunned once again at the sight of Paris from above. She also loved to see the wet green countryside on the outskirts of the city, beautiful and freshly thawed from the winter. They took their first steps out of the plane, and despite the appearance that the city had thawed, the air felt like an icy blast that instantly froze Olivia to her core. "Oh no, not again," she groaned, trembling. She had not packed for this. "Don't you have a thicker coat in your suitcase?" Chris asked. "No," Olivia replied, hating being stuck in this situation once more. "I underestimated the weather here. I looked at the forecast. It wasn't supposed to be this cold. Paris is doing this on purpose to humiliate me." "I think you're doing this on purpose," Chris said as he removed his coat and put it around Olivia's shoulders. "You're trying to get me undressed." Olivia smiled, momentarily stunned. That was a good line, she thought. "You don't have to give me this," she said, moving her arms to remove the coat despite the chilly air renewing its attack on her body. "I can't take it. You'll get sick." "I won't get sick. You'll find that I'm extremely tough and cool, very rugged," he insisted, though she could tell he was trying to suppress his own shivers. "Oh my God, it's so frickin' cold!" Morgana shouted, completely breaking the mood. "How is it this cold, and how do we tell somebody?" "Cessed cold," she yelled in broken French. Tray cold, Madis! You are right, Morgana. Olivia laughed, her teeth chattering. It is cold. But you got a boy coat, Morgana said, taking in the sight of Chris's outerwear around her shoulders. Sven, give me your coat. No, I need it. It's freezing, he said, pulling his coat tighter around himself. Let's just hurry to the car. Chris smiled, his arm around Olivia, rubbing her arm, partially to warm her up, but partially to warm his hand. They found the Perry's butler standing outside a black town car, greeting them with a smile. He opened the doors for them, and the four friends gratefully piled into the car, finding it very toasty inside. The butler, who was very good at his job and had long practiced attention to detail, must have been blasting the heat because he knew how they would feel after walking to the car. As Olivia sat inside and started warming back up, her fingers were so cold that the temperature change caused them a little pain. The butler finished piling their luggage into the trunk and sat behind the wheel. Olivia thanked him and asked, How is Royal Perry doing lately with all the planning for this? Mr. Perry is quite well, the butler said hesitantly, but the friends were all alarmed by the way he trailed off. What's wrong? Chris asked. I do not mean to alarm you, but there was a minor incident. Last night, it seems the Perry estate was broken into by someone from the outside. It was thought to be the work of a thief, but nobody can find anything that seems to be missing. Young Miss Bella Bridges was given quite the scare. Oh no. Olivia was worried for Bella. Is she all right? She was a little rattled, but was doing much better this morning, miss. The butler answered kindly. That's good, Olivia said, but her eyes darkened. A thief, a couple days before the last knife ceremony. Was it too much of a coincidence? There's no way nothing was stolen, Olivia thought. This was no mere petty burglary. Something big is at play. Olivia and Chris shared a meaningful look, each of them feeling determined to stay on guard. They knew this trip to Paris was about to turn deadly. One false move and I could end up dead, Olivia thought. The back of her neck prickled with nerves and anticipation as the black town car sped toward the Perry estate. She felt like she was being driven into the lion's den and knew that she had to be ready. Morgana exclaimed in shock, breaking Olivia out of her reverie. Wait, that castle, we're getting closer to that big castle, is that where we're going? That's the Perry estate, Olivia nodded. Morgana watched the building with wide eyes. You really do have a lot of swanky friends, she exclaimed. As they got out of the car and into the entrance hall of the luxurious building, Morgana had the same shocked look plastered on her face as she spun around, taking in the high ceilings, the grand staircase, and the antiques. The butler who drove them gestured down a hall Olivia knew had guest rooms in it, because it was where she stayed during their last visit. This way, please, he said politely. Morgana shook her head, muttering, He's like a butler. He gestured to the same room Olivia was in before, turning to Olivia and Morgana. The estate is over capacity for this event, so I apologize, but I must ask the two ladies if they do mind staying together in this bedroom. Yeah, that's fine, Olivia replied with a wave of her hand. And where's Carlton Perry? I was hoping to say hello to him. Young Master Carlton is still in school at this hour, he answered apologetically. He has not yet arrived home. All right, thank you. Olivia smiled and entered the familiar room, as other staff members brought their luggage up behind. The butler continued with Chris and Sven, showing them to their lodgings. As they took in the room, Morgana immediately spread all her limbs out like a star and flopped onto the center of the huge bed. Wow, she said. This bed is way bigger than yours and way more comfortable. I know it's a castle, Olivia casually responded as she opened her suitcase and pulled out a change of clothes. I'm gonna go take a shower. I need to wash the plane off me and get ready for dinner. You go do that, Morgana said serenely, gazing up at the ceiling. I think I'm going to stay here in this exact spot the whole trip. Olivia laughed. All right, enjoy. She entered the enormous bathroom, Gaudy and picturesque, it had a chandelier, silk curtains, and a huge clawfoot tub with golden accents, and was generously lavished with marble. She got the shower up to temperature, tested it with her hand, and removed her sweater. She was about to pull off her shirt when there was a rapid knock at the bathroom door. "What, Morgana?" she called out, annoyed. "Stop! There's a pinhole camera in this room," Morgana replied. "What?" Olivia threw open the door and then shut off the shower. "Show me, where?" She wondered if maybe Morgana's excitability and imagination had blown something out of proportion, imagining some small mark to be a camera when it actually wasn't. "Here, lie down on the bed." Morgana threw herself back down onto the bed but left space for Olivia. "And look up there." She pointed up at the ceiling. Olivia did what she said and looked up. She gasped. There it was, unmistakable. A glossy black bead in the center of the decorative white molding on the ceiling. "You see it, right?" Morgana said, frantic. "Yeah, you're right," Olivia answered, shocked. "What kind of pervs want to watch us while we sleep?" Morgana wondered. She gasped, "Or watch people while they, you know." Olivia jumped up from the bed. "We have to look for more." Olivia had a sickening thought and rushed to check the bathroom first. She pulled at the edge of the bathroom mirror. It was attached to the wall. She turned the flashlight on her phone and shone it at the glass. She gasped. She could see the reflection behind the glass of another pinhole camera. She followed where it pointed, which was directly at the shower. Just now, as she was beginning to take her clothes off, Morgana knocked crazily at the door, preventing whoever put these here from saving the whole image for themselves. "Morgana, there's another one in here," Olivia cried as Morgana hurried in. Olivia showed her. "Who is so disgusting that they would do this?" Olivia chewed her lip, thinking, did they just target us, or does everyone's room have them? Olivia left the bathroom and called Chris. "Hey, you should come here. I need you to see something." "Be right there." Chris was immediately alarmed by the tone in Olivia's voice, knowing that something serious was going on. He didn't ask any more questions and hurried right to her. After he knocked, Olivia let him into the room. "There are at least 2 pinhole cameras in here," she explained, pointing out the ones they'd found. Then the 3 of them got to work on searching for more. They found cameras everywhere. The cameras were all positioned in a way that every inch of the suite was visible to whoever placed them there. Chris pulled one out of a hole carved in a lamp, inspecting it. His face was grim. "These can record audio too. They're transmitting somewhere." He stood looking cold, angry, and dangerous. "I'll take care of this," he said, not even looking at Olivia and Morgana. Olivia knew he was already formulating a plan. "One little thing first," Olivia replied. "Do you still have that gum you gave me on the plane?" "Yes," he answered, confused, but took it out of his pocket and handed her another piece. Olivia popped the gum in her mouth and chewed it. "Maybe Sven can come over here and try to find all the cameras you can. We have to make sure we get them all." Chris nodded. Olivia entered the bathroom, stretching the gum over the view of the camera she found in the mirror. "I'm going to take a shower. You and Morgana take care of all the cameras out here." Chris nodded. Morgana sat on the bed where she'd been for a while, hugging a pillow. Chris didn't move, his mind fixated on something. Olivia tilted her head at him curiously. "Are you waiting for an invitation into the shower or something?" Chris, embarrassed, blushed furiously. "No, just thinking." He took his phone out, calling Sven on his way out into the hallway. Morgana smiled at Olivia. "How are you two so hot and cold? You're clearly crazy for each other." Olivia shook her head, but a smile crept across her face too. She entered the bathroom, shutting the door. As Olivia showered, Chris and Sven started to remove all the cameras they found in Olivia and Morgana's room. Morgana initially helped before getting bored, turning to her phone on the bed. Chris listened to the water flowing inside the bathroom, the different noises it made as Olivia turned through it. He made more than a few odd mistakes as he removed the cameras, including bumping into Sven and trying to redo spots Sven had already finished. Sven noticed and finally got flustered, unable to take it anymore. Hey, Chris, why don't you rest up a bit? It seems like you need a beat. Take a load off on the couch. No need, Chris insisted, clearing his throat. He concentrated on the expression on his face, trying to make sure he looked very focused and professional. He was desperately trying not to think about Olivia in the shower, even though that seemed to be the only thing his mind wanted to drift to. Sven rolled his eyes. Then maybe go take care of the ones across the room. We're sort of on top of each other right now. Sure thing. Chris rubbed his eyes and went to the other side of the room, trying to shake off the image in his mind of what he was hearing. After a while, Olivia walked out, her hair in a towel. Chris noticed as well that, mercifully, she was already dressed. Olivia called, Hey, Morgana, you should go shower while you can too. When Morgana entered with her shower supplies and change of clothes, she laughed at the gum spread over the bathroom's pinhole camera. This is some real sophisticated stuff, she joked to Olivia, who smiled. It was about this time that Carlton Perry had finally returned to the estate after school. When he heard that Olivia had already arrived and had asked about his whereabouts, he quickly made his way to her room and knocked at the door. Carlton, Olivia said, happy to see him. Come in and talk with me. Yes? Carlton stopped short as he entered the room. Chris and Sven were each crouched in different parts of the room, moving furniture and closely inspecting the walls. What are you doing? I was about to ask you the same thing. Olivia crossed her arms. Was this room prepared specifically for me? Yeah. Carlton nodded, still trying to put together what was going on. We kept most of the return guests in the same rooms that they used before. Olivia raised her eyebrows. Then they are clearly targeting me. What is it? Carlton asked, puzzled. We found a bunch of pinhole cameras. There was even one in the bathroom. She showed Carlton what they'd found. He was horrified. Olivia shook her head. Who here is such a dirtbag that they would do this? Carlton was still reeling. Pinhole cameras, he replied, looking around. I heard the estate had a break-in yesterday, Olivia said. We did. Carlton nodded. But we're hosting the last knife ceremony. Practically everyone is on edge and out for blood. How do we figure out the culprit behind this when it could be literally anyone? Olivia sighed, frustrated. She had a thought and pulled out her phone. With a glance at Chris, she dialed Jeremy. He picked up on the first ring. Hello? Hey, she replied. Are you at the Perry estate already? I just got here, he answered. Are there any pinhole cameras in your room? She asked. After some rummaging, she heard him react. Oh man, yeah. Jeremy gasped, bewildered. I just found one. And there's another one right here. Hang on. Olivia heard the sound of typing as she stayed on the line. Jeremy finally continued. It seems like whoever was connected with these has already turned off the receiver. Olivia rubbed her temples. I guess if I could see that I was found out, I'd turn that off too. Is there any way to find out who they were still? Jeremy sighed, thinking, not a great chance that we can do that, but I'll give it a try. Okay, let's talk about it later at dinner, Olivia said before they exchanged goodbyes and hung up the phone. Olivia turned to Carlton. Jeremy has them too. They were targeting the winners of the last knives. Carlton clenched his fists. Olivia, I'm so sorry. I'm angry you're at risk in my family's home. I thought we were doing everything we could to protect you. Olivia shrugged. I knew it would be a dangerous event. She remembered something she wanted to ask. Before you knew about this, why did you hurry over here? Oh, Carlton said, growing bashful. I wanted to ask your friend. He glanced at Morgana, who looked straight at him up from her phone. Morgana's eyes darkened. I'm fine, she said. Huh? Olivia raised her eyebrows. What? Nothing, Carlton said quickly, turning toward the door. He sighed, turning back to Olivia and lowering his voice. I'll explain another time, just not now. Also, it's time for dinner. I will see you in the banquet hall. After Carlton shut the door behind him, Olivia realized she was left with another mystery. She looked back at Morgana, who had turned away from her on the bed, absorbed in her phone, not interested in explaining herself. Olivia wondered internally, what happened between Morgana and Carlton? Now to face the wolves, Olivia muttered. Despite having to remove a bunch of pinhole cameras from Olivia and Morgana's room, Olivia, Morgana, Chris, and Sven all arrived at the banquet hall in time for dinner and were dressed to impress. As soon as the group of friends entered the noisy banquet hall, it instantly quieted down. Olivia felt a chill go down her spine as her eyes swept the hall, sizing up the guests. Many people didn't even try to hide the fact that they stared right back at her. And Olivia knew there were many more who were being discreet. All their eyes were all cold, hostile, greedy. It was as though, looking at her, they all saw the valuable knife they hoped to take from her and take home with them. Olivia deliberately chose a seat right in the middle of everyone. They're going to stare anyway, she thought. I'll make it easy for them. She folded her hands on top of the table as the waitstaff filled her and her companions water and wine. She wanted to get her bearings for a moment before she went and served herself from Royal Perry's lavish buffet. Olivia's temple tingled as she opened her mind to all of the thoughts that she could hear around the room, searching for someone who might give away that they planted cameras in her suite. There's the spoiled brat who won the knife, one woman thought. She probably cheated her way to the finals. She doesn't deserve it. Look at the way she's strutting in here like she owns a place, a man's thoughts burst in. Someone ought to knock her down a peg. All of the frantic thoughts of everyone in the room at the same time were deafening. She heard jealousy, anger, and plotting, wanting. In addition to their ill thoughts against Olivia, many people even hated the people they were with, but were only working with them to try and enact some scheme to steal the knife. It almost hurt Olivia's head the way a loud noise could hurt her ears, but she strained to listen. After a beat, she decided to give her brain a rest. She was not able to pick out anything that seemed to align with someone who thought they were getting a view of her private moments through the pinhole cameras. Miss Olivia Johnson! They heard a girl's happy voice approaching as someone bounded toward Olivia, wrapping her arms around Olivia's shoulders. You're finally here! Olivia was stunned for a moment, briefly preparing to possibly have to fight someone off her with a fork, but she realized that the person who had just hugged her was Bella Bridges. Bella, she said, relieved. Long time no see. A middle-aged man hurried up behind Bella. It was Aiden, her bodyguard and attendant. I apologize, Miss Johnson. This young lady was frightened last night and lost control of her emotions when she saw you. Bella looked sheepish, but Olivia waved that away. I'm fine, she insisted. Morgana, would you pull that chair over here? Olivia asked, gesturing for one of the chairs across the table to be put next to Olivia so she could speak to Bella. I was actually planning to come find you so I could ask about what happened to you last night, Bella, she said as Morgana dutifully brought the chair over for her. Did you see the person who broke into the castle? I heard you had a run-in with them. Yeah. Bella's eyes filled with fear. She nodded vigorously. I heard a sound outside, an outside door last night. I opened the door, then I saw... Bella paused, an odd look coming over her face, and she seemed very distressed. A figure. I don't know if it was dark or if I lost that memory, but I just remember them sort of standing there. Then I don't remember anything after that. Aiden leaned over to Olivia. Miss Bridges was knocked unconscious last night. I deeply regret that I wasn't there to protect her. I should have insisted on never parting from her side, but it is not typical that something like this would happen. Olivia smiled politely, but she agreed with Aiden. He was her bodyguard. He should not have let Bella wander around such a dangerous place alone and vulnerable. I have a big bump. Bella lifted her long hair, showing Olivia. Right here. Wow. Morgana leaned over, interrupting because she was excited to inspect an injury. Yeah, it's all bruised. It must be really painful. Bella nodded and sighed. Yeah, it hurts a lot. I don't know why I even opened the door. I just thought it was another guest who maybe went to go see the gardens and got locked out somehow. Miss, what do you want to eat? Aiden asked, concerned. I'll go get it. Anything is fine, Bella said unenthusiastically. I still don't really have an appetite. Just grab a small amount of something. Okay, I will be right back with that, Aiden said, hurrying away. Chris and Sven had also been listening to all of this, but stood up to fill their own plates as well. Olivia was dying to probe Bella and ask more questions to see if any tiny additional detail could be gleaned from her memories. But she figured that the banquet hall was not a safe place to speak openly, especially if the person who perpetrated or ordered this attack could be among them. Olivia changed the subject back to their food. I hope there's something that sounds a tiny bit appetizing. Your body needs food to keep healing. I know, Bella nodded. This morning, Royal Perry got someone to make his medicinal porridge he learned how to make in some other part of the world. Bella looked around, then leaned close to Olivia, whispering in her ear, But I really have no appetite, and the thing that's going to bring it back isn't porridge. I pushed it around with my spoon until it got cold and then dumped it over my balcony. She and Olivia laughed. But shh, Aiden doesn't know I didn't eat it. Olivia was amused. She knew Aiden cared about Bella's well-being, but he probably cared just as much about not offending Royal Perry by dumping out some special dish he'd made specifically for her. But Olivia loved that Bella didn't care about that. Olivia noticed Jeremy enter the banquet hall. He smiled as he saw her and hurried to their table, sitting across from Olivia. Hey, Olivia said as he sat down. How is... She glanced around and gave him a meaningful look. Everything in your room. Jeremy didn't answer out loud, but just shook his head. Olivia sighed, frustrated. She figured that would be too easy. Well, let's eat something. Jeremy nodded, adding, By the way, Steve Shook is on his way. He'll be here in an hour. Okay, Olivia said seriously. Tell him to be careful. Yeah, I did. Jeremy answered, looking at Olivia carefully. He thought that she looked exactly the same as she did the last time he saw her, the way he'd been picturing her since then. It felt bittersweet to see her. He had been thinking about her constantly, but obviously couldn't say anything about it. He knew she was with Chris. Her heart did not belong to him, and likely never would. Jeremy thought that that feeling was very difficult to stomach. It made it more difficult that he was friends with Olivia, and that he had to interact with Chris sometimes. Olivia saw him as a brother, and he would never get to be anything more than that. The thought was cruel, and made him instantly lonely, but he thought it was a fact. Olivia, Morgana said curiously, who is this? This is Jeremy, Olivia answered. Sorry, I forgot you two haven't met each other yet. My name is Morgana, she said, nodding. She leaned toward Jeremy, speaking low. What is your relationship with Olivia? You are her... She trailed off, expecting him to finish her sentence. Olivia, overhearing this, felt awkward but unsurprised that Morgana's instinct was to make things even more awkward. Morgana, let him settle in and figure out his food. He just got here, she said with an edge to her voice. Morgana stuck her tongue out at Olivia and turned away, dropping it. She could tell there was something weird in the air between Jeremy and Olivia, and was annoyed that she wasn't able to find out what it was. Jeremy, did you just fly in too? Bella asked helpfully, trying to get the normal small talk rolling. Yeah, it feels like it was about 30 seconds ago. We came right here, dropped our bags, and I walked downstairs to eat. Morgana started counting on her fingers, looking around. If Steve Shook will be here soon, then the Park family and the Kong family will be the only ones that haven't arrived yet. Are you counting the Pell family? Olivia asked. Is one of them here too? She would be surprised if Cameron and Camilla didn't make sure their family was represented at an event like this, where everyone was in attendance. Yes, Bella replied. Pete Pell is here this time. Olivia pursed her lips, now worried. Pete Pell, who potentially wanted her dead at any moment, was definitely bad news for her. Bella didn't notice the worry that came over Olivia, continuing to think about the families. Yesterday, someone from the Johnson family also already came. I was surprised you two didn't come together. Someone from the Johnson family? Olivia echoed, surprised. Who was it? Her first thought was that it must be Bruno Johnson, but she'd not seen him around in attendance yet. Oh, speak of the devil, Bella said, pointing at the doors to the hall. Look. Olivia followed the direction where Bella was pointing and saw a group of 3 people crossing the threshold. It was Bruno Johnson, Pete Pell, and Edward Johnson. Olivia blurted. softening her voice as much as she could. This annoying group of frustrating people were finally here. The three of them walked to the other side of the banquet hall and sat down. The whole time, Edward Johnson stared at Olivia with hatred in his eyes. He was still a kid, but the older he got, the more he resented Olivia for her star status as the eldest Johnson child and a notable businesswoman and student already. His mentor that he was studying under, Mario Vincenzo, was constantly comparing him to her. He felt like even when he went back to New York, he would always be measured up against everything Olivia did, simply because she had grown up first, which he hated. He was in the Johnson family before she was. It all felt so unfair. He was working very hard for the Johnson family to make a name for himself and to further the family's reputation. But every day he heard about what new kind of glory Olivia earned from her gaming company or whatever else. Who cares? He thought bitterly. A lot of nobodies make games and I don't have to hear about them. I think I'm getting allergic to her name. It makes me itchy. Every time anyone complimented the Johnson family descendants or the upcoming generation of Johnsons, Edward knew that in reality, that person was referring to Olivia, not himself or Monica. Especially since Monica's in jail now, he thought to himself, hating any time he thought about it. He felt like Olivia was the reason Monica was in there at all, so thinking those words made him hate Olivia even more. I'm the young master of the Johnson family, he wanted to yell. Olivia obviously can't be the next Grandpa Jack, she's a girl. I'm going to rule the Johnson family and there's nothing she can do about it. He felt like before Olivia came along, he got so much attention for being the boy in the family. But then when Olivia joined them, he was just the youngest child. He hated this. He knew in his heart that with Olivia around, he couldn't achieve his full potential. If he wanted to take his rightful place as the next head of the Johnson family, Olivia would have to die. Under the grand chandeliers of the Royal Perry estate, dinner continued to carry on with an air of opulence. Olivia sat there, elegantly poised yet utterly oblivious to the loathing that seethed within Edward. She'd been so engrossed in the minds around her, deciphering their thoughts and plans, that she completely missed the burning hatred in Edward's eyes, a hatred born from his desire to be recognized as the favorite offspring of the Johnson family by any means possible, especially if it means Olivia's demise. Olivia's mind was riddled with annoyance and wariness. Bruno's after me, no surprise there, she mused. He's smart enough not to trust me, and he's right. The Johnsons are a chessboard, and I'm playing to win. Her mind danced from one adversary to another. Pete Pell, another one who wouldn't mind seeing me 6 feet under. Paris, the city of love, more like the city of hate for me. Chris's voice broke her train of thought. What's on your mind, Olivia? Olivia's eyes flicked to his, hiding her turbulent thoughts behind a serene facade. Oh, nothing much, just enjoying the Parisian charm. She lied smoothly, masking the storm inside her. Chris didn't seem convinced, but chose not to pry. He slid a plate of exquisitely prepared food towards her. Eat something, Olivia. Maybe it'll help you relax. Olivia glanced at the plate, a delicate arrangement of French cuisine that somehow failed to appeal to her. She appreciated the gesture but couldn't bring herself to eat, her mind preoccupied with strategizing her next move against the many who wished her harm. How do I outsmart them all? Olivia thought as her eyes scanned the room. In sharp contrast, Morgana's face lit up as Sven handed her a plate. Thank you, Sven. A real gentleman in the midst of chaos, she quipped. Across from them, Bella Bridges sat, her tired and uneasy demeanor unmissable. Aidan, attempting to be helpful, presented her with a plate. Here, I brought you a sampling of food. Eat something, Bella. It'll help you heal. Bella pushed the plate away gently. I can't, Aidan. Ever since last night's attack, I just can't. Her voice trailed off, laden with the trauma of her recent encounter. If none of this appeals to you, I'll see if they can whip up one of your favorites. Aidan hurried off to the kitchen, determined to find something to tempt Bella's appetite. Bella turned to Morgana and Olivia, her voice barely a whisper. I keep telling myself it was just a petty thief, not some assassin, but in our world, who knows? Olivia's ears perked up at Bella's words. Assassin? That's one more thing to worry about. Great. She faked a smile, trying to maintain her facade of composure. Stay sharp, Olivia, she thought to herself. In this game of chess, it's queen against the world. As dinner progressed in the lavish banquet hall of the Royal Perry estate, a group of young women, elegantly dressed, sauntered in, their voices abuzz of gossip. They chatted animatedly, unaware of the tense atmosphere they had just walked into. "Did you hear about the sparrows?" one of them whispered, her eyes wide with a mix of excitement and horror. "Someone poisoned them, left them to die right outside the back door." Bella, already on edge, turned ghostly pale at these words. Her voice trembled as she confided in Olivia, Morgana, Chris, and Sven. I think someone's trying to kill me," she stammered, her eyes brimming with fear. "My balcony is directly above the back door. The porridge I threw out earlier, the one made specially for me, it must have been poisoned. The birds, they must have eaten it." Morgana's eyes narrowed as she took in Bella's fear. But how could the birds eat porridge? That's not something they normally go after. It had nuts and berries in it. Maybe the sparrows were pecking at it. It can't be a coincidence. Someone is trying to kill me, Bella said in a whisper that wanted to be a scream. The table fell into a stunned silence as the realization dawned on them. Olivia, Chris, Sven, and Morgana exchanged troubled looks. This was no ordinary break-in. It was an assassination attempt. "Someone's trying to scare me or silence me or I don't know," Bella said, looking more uneasy as every second passed. Why would anyone want to silence Bella? Chris wondered aloud, his brows knitted in confusion. Bella's eyes were wide with fear. I don't know, I don't understand," she stammered. Bella's mind was clearly a whirlwind as she tried to make sense of everything. The group huddled closer, their conversation a hushed buzz amid the clinking of cutlery and low murmur of the other guests. "This is no random act," Sven said, his brow furrowed in thought. "Someone here at this estate, they have a motive." "But what could it be?" Morgana chimed in. "Bella, have you angered anyone lately? Any old grudges or rivalries?" Morgana asked. Bella shook her head again. "I can't think of anyone. I've always tried to stay out of trouble." Olivia's thoughts were sharp and calculated, her mind working overtime to piece together the puzzle. Someone is playing a deadly game here, and Bella is the target, but why? What does she know, or what does someone think she knows? Olivia observed Bella closely, her mind working rapidly. She noted the genuine bewilderment and fear in Bella's eyes, a clear indication that she was as perplexed by the situation as they were. "Something doesn't add up here," Olivia finally spoke, breaking the tense silence. "Whoever did this took a big risk. Poisoning sparrows, breaking in, it's too elaborate for a simple vendetta." Olivia leaned back, her mind racing. She glanced around the room, observing the other guests. Each face now seemed a potential suspect, each whisper a possible clue. "We need to stay alert," she murmured to the group. "Someone here isn't just playing games, they're playing for keeps." Olivia, Chris, Sven, and Morgana's eyebrows furrowed as they silently sat amongst each other, each of their faces a picture of concentration and concern, trying to unravel the tangled web of events. Olivia, her mind racing like a high-speed train, finally broke the silence, her voice cutting through the air with the sharpness of a newly forged blade. "It's clear now," she declared with a certainty that drew everyone's attention. "Whoever's after Bella is also after Royal Perry's last knife. It must have been stolen, and the thief is likely still inside this castle, given the recent poisoning." Chris nodded in agreement, added, "That makes sense. The knife's not just a piece of art, it's a treasure. Stealing it would be a motive strong enough to risk all this." Sven, his brow furrowed in concentration, chimed in. "But how do we uncover who's behind all this? We're in a castle full of guests and staff." Olivia let out a sigh, her mind working overtime. "That's the difficult part. We have no obvious suspects. Everyone here is a potential perp." Morgana, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly perked up. "I have a way," she said, her eyes gleaming with mischief. Olivia, Chris, Sven, and Bella each leaned in, their expressions a mix of curiosity and eagerness. "What's your plan, Morgana?" Olivia asked, her voice laced with intrigue. Chris echoed, "Yes, how can we find out?" Sven added, "What do you suggest?" Bella, her eyes wide with anticipation, urged, "Please tell us, Morgana." Morgana, relishing the moment, leaned back and announced with a dramatic flair, "The only way to unravel this mystery is with witchcraft." Chris and Sven exchanged a look of confusion. "Witchcraft?" Chris asked, skepticism creeping into his voice. Sven, equally puzzled, questioned, "What do you mean by witchcraft?" Olivia nodded, fully agreeing with Morgana. "She's right. Morgana's special talents could be our key to unlocking this mystery." Morgana's smile broadened, pleased with the trust placed in her. "Exactly," she said. "With a little bit of witchcraft, we can reveal the thief among us." Chris and Sven looked at each other, their expressions a mix of confusion and skepticism. Chris opened his mouth, about to voice his doubts about Morgana's proposed solution, but Olivia swiftly cut him off. "We need a plan, and we need it now." Morgana nodded. "The first step is to confirm if the porridge was actually poisoned. We'll need to get our hands on whatever food Aiden is bringing for Bella now. I can work my magic on it to find out the truth." Chris, Sven, and Bella looked on. Their bemusement was evident. Sven muttered under his breath, "Magic? Really?" Ignoring their skepticism, Olivia sprang into action. "Bella, we need to get you to your room for the night. It's not safe for you to be out here," she said, her voice laced with concern. "I'll take Bella to her room," Olivia announced, taking charge of the situation. "Morgana, Chris, and Sven, I need you guys to intercept the food Aiden brings for Bella. We can't let this opportunity slip." As Olivia guided Bella out of the banquet hall, the others watched them go. Chris, still processing the idea of employing witchcraft in their investigation, shook his head in disbelief. Sven, equally perplexed, trailed behind, his mind racing with questions. Morgana, on the other hand, seemed perfectly at ease with the unfolding plan. The hallways of the Royal Perry estate stretched before them, bathed in the soft glow of the evening lights, as Olivia, Chris, and Bella made their way to Bella's room. Bella's steps were hesitant, her eyes darting around nervously. The shadows cast by the ornate fixtures seemed to dance menacingly on the walls, echoing her heightened state of anxiety. Olivia, sensing Bella's growing unease, placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll find out who's behind this, Bella. You're not alone in this," she said, her voice a soothing balm amid the swirling fear. Chris walked silently beside them, his presence a silent pillar of support. He glanced at Bella, offering a small, encouraging smile, an unspoken promise of protection. As they reached Bella's room, the heavy door creaked open. It felt cold and unwelcoming under the current circumstances. Olivia guided Bella inside, her words gentle but firm. "Try to rest, Bella. We're doing everything we can to keep you safe." Bella's eyes flitted around her room. A place that should have been her sanctuary was now a potential trap. She nodded meekly, the fear evident in her every move. Outside of Bella's room, Morgana caught Aiden just as he was about to ascend the grand staircase to Bella's room, carrying a bowl of steaming soup. Her eyes gleamed with a mischievous spark. "Aiden," Morgana began, her voice a blend of charm and cunning, "I couldn't help but notice that soup looks absolutely divine. Mind if I have a little taste?" Aiden, caught off guard by the sudden request, hesitated. "This is for Bella. She hasn't been feeling well." Morgana feigned a pout. "Oh, but I'm feeling a tad under the weather myself. A little sip won't hurt, right?" Aiden had no interest in letting this strange girl try Bella's soup, but he knew that she was there with Olivia, and he didn't want to face any consequences for denying the request. Reluctantly, he handed her the bowl. Morgana's lips curled into a vicious smirk as she carefully balanced the soup in her hands. With a twinkle in her eye, Morgana added, "You should go check on Bella. She seemed really distressed earlier." Nodding, Aiden hurried off, leaving Morgana with her prize. She turned to Sven, a gleam of excitement in her eyes. "Let's find a quiet spot. We have work to do." They slipped away to a secluded part of the Perry estate, a forgotten alcove draped in shadows and mystery. The walls were lined with ancient tapestries, the air thick with the scent of old books and secrets. Morgana reached into her dress and pulled out a small vial containing a luminescent liquid. With practiced ease, she poured a few drops into the soup, her expression focused and intense. Next, she beckoned to a cluster of bugs hidden within the folds of her dress. They crawled out, obedient to her silent command, and began to circle the soup. Sven watched, his eyes wide with a mixture of horror and fascination. As the bugs interacted with the soup, they began to change color, turning a deep shade of blue. Morgana observed keenly, her lips curved into a satisfied smile. Just as I suspected. It's poisoned. Sven took a step back, his admiration for Morgana's abilities growing. That's incredible and terrifying. Morgana packed up her tools with a flourish. Someone wants Bella dead, and they're not shy about it. In the shadows, a mysterious figure watched the entire scene unfold. Clad in darkness, the figure cursed under their breath. Olivia is always meddling and ruining plans, they thought bitterly. Their identity remained mysterious, their presence unknown to Morgana and Sven. The figure's eyes glinted in the dim light, their thoughts swirling with malice and frustration. They had been so close, yet Olivia's resourcefulness had foiled them once again. The game was far from over. Am I gonna die? In her dimly lit room, Bella paced back and forth like a caged animal, her footsteps muffled against the plush carpet. Her mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion, the thoughts spinning so fast she could barely catch them. It's insane, she muttered under her breath. Someone's actually trying to poison me. Chris leaned against the wall, his arms crossed, eyes fixed on Bella. There was a stoic look on his face, but his eyes betrayed his concern. He exchanged a worried glance with Olivia, who stood nearby, watching Bella with equal parts concern and determination. Olivia's gaze landed on a glass of water sitting on Bella's desk. She moved decisively, pouring water into a glass. Bella, you need to drink this, she said softly, approaching her with the glass in hand. Bella jerked back slightly as Olivia extended the glass towards her. She eyed the water warily, her hands trembling slightly. No, she said vehemently, shaking her head. I can't drink that. Olivia's brow furrowed. You're dehydrated, Bella, you need to drink. But Bella backed away, her eyes wide with paranoia. I can't drink, eat, or put anything in my mouth while I'm here. That water has been there since yesterday. Someone could have poisoned it. Understanding dawned on Olivia's face, and she set the glass down gently. She took a step towards Bella, her voice calm and steady. Bella, please sit down. We need to figure this out, but we can't do that unless you're calm. Bella eyed Olivia skeptically, her body tense. Olivia continued gently. Just take some deep breaths, okay? After a moment's hesitation, Bella complied, her breath shaky at first, but gradually steadying. She finally sank into a chair, her eyes still darting around the room. Olivia sat down opposite her, maintaining eye contact. Now let's talk about what's been happening. We need to get to the bottom of this, and the only way we can do that is together. Olivia exhaled deeply, her expression turning serious. Bella, we need to figure this out. Tell me everything about last night. Any clue could help us understand why someone wants you dead. Bella's response was a mix of confusion and frustration. I have no idea, Olivia, I just don't know. But you must remember something, Olivia pressed. Anything at all. Bella stood up, pacing the room in agitation. I was knocked out as soon as I opened the door. Olivia leaned forward, her interest piqued. Why did you open the door in the first place? I heard arguing, then a loud bang, Bella explained. Not like a gunshot, more like something heavy slamming on the ground. Olivia pondered where the sound could have come from. Bella continued, I have no idea what it was. That's why I went to check. In her mind, Olivia sifted through possibilities, trying to connect the bang to the attempt on Bella's life. Who could be behind that bang? Is it connected to Bella's poisoning? And is this all about the knife, or is there more to it? Meanwhile, Chris surveyed the room, peering out the windows, deep in thought. Bella suddenly clutched her head, pain etched on her face. Olivia noticed her weakened state. "Bella, you need to rest." "I'll try," Bella responded, her voice weary, "but I doubt I can." At that moment, Aiden entered the room, his concern for Bella apparent. "Is there anything I can do?" "Try to get her to rest," Olivia said. Once Aiden was with Bella, Chris and Olivia left the room, walking down the hall. Chris broke the silence. "The thief, the cameras in your and Jeremy's rooms, now poisoned food, what's going on?" Olivia nodded, her mind working overtime. "It's all connected somehow. We need to piece this together, fast." Chris and Olivia paused at the door to Olivia and Morgana's room. Chris, with a gentle grip, took Olivia's hand, his eyes filled with concern. "You look exhausted, Olivia, and you haven't been eating properly," he said softly. Olivia, touched by his concern, managed a weary smile. "I'll try to get some sleep," she assured him, her voice low. "Don't forget to keep me in the loop about Morgana's witchcraft," Chris reminded her, a hint of playfulness in his tone because he still didn't believe this magic nonsense. Olivia chuckled, a brief respite from the tension. "Of course I will." She watched Chris leave, a mix of gratitude and concern in her gaze. Turning, she stepped into her room, only to find Jeremy and Morgana waiting. Morgana's eyes widened in alarm, clearly eager to share something urgent. Olivia, sensing the tension, started to ask about the soup, but Morgana interrupted. "The soup? It was poisoned." The revelation hit Olivia, even though she wasn't fully surprised. "This is much worse than we thought," she murmured, a sense of dread settling in her stomach. Morgana nodded. "We need to investigate the kitchen staff. Whoever is behind this could be closer than we think." Before Olivia could respond, a series of knocks echoed at the door. Olivia, Morgana, and Jeremy exchanged shocked glances. Olivia motioned for silence, straining to hear. The maid's voice, a familiar and reassuring sound, announced her presence. "Excuse me, Miss Olivia," the maid said. Relief washed over them briefly. Olivia opened the door, finding the maid with a solemn expression. "Miss Olivia, Mr. Jeremy, Mr. Royal Perry requests your presence," the maid said, her tone suggesting urgency. Olivia exchanged a glance with Jeremy, her brows knitting in confusion. "Now's not really a good time," she replied, her voice tinged with hesitation. But the maid persisted. "Mr. Perry insists. He said it's of utmost importance." A silent communication passed between Olivia and Jeremy. They nodded to each other, curiosity piqued. Olivia cast a brief, puzzled glance at Morgana before following the maid, Jeremy in tow. As they walked through the dimly lit corridors, the shadows seemed to dance with secrets. The mansion itself, a silent witness to the unfolding mystery. Olivia's mind raced with questions. What could Royal Perry want at this late hour? And how does it tie into these bizarre events that we're now entangled in? Jeremy and Olivia stepped into Royal Perry's study. At a massive mahogany desk, Royal Perry and Chef Theodore were engaged in a hushed, intense discussion. The seriousness in their hunched shoulders and furrowed brows was palpable. Olivia and Jeremy tread lightly, their steps muted on the Persian rug. Royal Perry, noticing their presence, turned sharply. His face, usually a mask of composure, was lined with worry. "Olivia, we have an urgent matter," he said, cutting through the formalities. Chef Theodore, a man known for his jovial demeanor, stood somberly beside Perry. His usual enthusiastic greeting for Olivia was absent, replaced by a slight nod. "A decoy knife was stolen last night," Royal Perry disclosed, his voice laced with a mix of relief and concern. Olivia's eyes widened in shock. "A decoy, but why?" "It's a fortunate turn. That means the real artifacts remain secure," Royal Perry interjected. "Are the real knives safe then?" Olivia asked, seeking clarity in the murky situation. "Yes, they are well protected. I've insured it personally," Royal Perry confirmed, a flicker of pride in his voice. Olivia breathed a sigh of relief. "That's good to hear." Royal Perry's expression then shifted to one of seriousness. And about the cameras in your room, Olivia, I'm aware of them. I assure you they'll be taken care of promptly. Olivia's gaze was fixed on Perry, searching for the truth beneath his words. Do you know who put those cameras in my room? And why? She asked, her voice steady but laden with curiosity. Royal Perry, his posture relaxed yet authoritative, met her gaze. We are conducting a thorough investigation. The person responsible will not elude us for long, he replied, his tone confident yet deliberately vague. Olivia's mind raced, piecing together his words. I feel like there's something he's not telling me, she thought, her intuition on high alert. But when Olivia tried to read his mind, she found his thoughts were too jumbled to make sense of. I guess that's fair, Olivia thought. If he thinks someone is after the real knives, he must be pretty frenzied. What's our next move? Olivia asked, ready to put an end to the vagueness. Perry leaned in, his face etched into a mask of resolve. We must outsmart the thief. Let them believe they've succeeded in stealing the real knife. He outlined his plan with a strategic calm. Olivia's brow creased in contemplation. What's the benefit to us if they think they've won? Perry's eyes narrowed slightly. They will likely lower their guard, thinking their mission is accomplished. That's when we strike. It will be easier to uncover them. Relief and understanding dawned on Olivia and Jeremy's faces. That strategy gives us some breathing room. Olivia acknowledged a subtle shift in her demeanor. Yes, but don't let your guard down. We can't afford to underestimate the thief. Perry cautioned, his eyes scanning their faces. Jeremy nodded, adding, with the knife safe and a plan in place, we can focus on figuring out who's behind all this chaos. Exactly, Perry agreed. But rest tonight. You'll need all your wits about you tomorrow. As Olivia and Jeremy left the study, a weight seemed lifted from their shoulders. We have a lot to do tomorrow, Olivia said to Jeremy, determination in her step. Royal Perry and Chef Theodore watched them leave, their expression shifting once the door closed. Perry's face, previously a picture of assurance, tightened into a mask of worry. Theodore met his gaze, a silent anxiety shared between them. In the dimly lit study, Royal Perry and Chef Theodore stood amidst the shadows, a heavy silence hanging between them. Theodore broke the stillness, his voice tinged with apprehension. Do you think Olivia and Jeremy believed your story? Perry exhaled slowly, his gaze fixed on the flickering flame of a nearby candle. I certainly hope so, he murmured, the weight of his deception evident in his tone. Theodore shifted uncomfortably. But Olivia, she's not one to be easily fooled. She has a knack for uncovering the truth, and quickly at that. Perry nodded solemnly. Indeed, she is perceptive. But what choice do we have, Theodore? The situation demanded a swift and decisive response. Theodore's expression turned pensive. Was it right, though, to lie to them? Perry turned to face him, his eyes revealing a turmoil of emotions. What other options were available to us? The truth is far too dangerous to be revealed. The real knife has been stolen, and that must remain a secret known only to us. My head is swimming, Royal. Run it by me one more time. Royal Perry sighed. The thief has the real knife. They think they've won. Now Olivia and her friends believe that the real knife is safe and that the thief stole a decoy. This means that Olivia is free to investigate with less pressure. I understand, but we're playing a dangerous game here, Royal. Are you really banking your entire career on a hope that the rumor of the stolen knife being a fake spread like wildfire? Chef Theodore questioned, clearly not fully supporting this call to action. Perry played slowly, his hands clasped behind his back. It's the opposite. If the news leaks that the real knife was stolen, it'll take their bloodthirsty eyes off of Olivia. News travels fast within these walls. We need to use that to our advantage. However, if Olivia can plant a seed of doubt about the knife's legitimacy, it might confuse the thief, causing them to panic. Theodore sighed, the lines on his face deepening. You're placing a great deal of faith in the thief's gullibility. If they've managed to infiltrate the estate and steal the knife, they're not amateurs. Perry stopped pacing and turned to Theodore, his expression stern. If a thief has dared to come this far, to breach the sanctum of my estate, they won't leave without what they came for. The real knife. We must make them believe they have already succeeded." Theodore looked at Perry, his eyes reflecting a mix of respect and concern. "And if this plan doesn't work? If it doesn't lead us to the recovery of your last knife? What then?" Perry's gaze drifted to the window, where the night sky was a tapestry of stars and dark clouds. "Then my legacy will be ruined forever. I won't let that happen."